Hello everybody, welcome to the Patriot Show. I'm your host, Anthony Stephen Malone. Got a very special guest with us today as well, Nigel Hinkin, veteran paratrooper of the regiment and owner of the Pegasus Bar in Arnhem. Very interesting story, ladies and gentlemen. Hello Nigel, how you doing, mate?
Very good, how's yourself?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Right, mate. Obviously, we know each other anyway, but me viewers, I want to give them a brief overview because this is going to be a very interesting interview, given the fact you own the Pegasus Bar in Arnhem, which isn't just a bar, it's also, you've managed to save a bit of history with this particular place, including a lot of the memorabilia and things from Operation Market Garden, World War II. But before we get on to that, I would like my viewers to know a little bit about your background before you joined the army. There you go, mate.
Before I joined the army, I was born and bred in a little village, literally just outside of Aldershot. So I was a local lad. The main town was, Aldershot was the biggest main town next to Guildford. So as kids, we used to, jump on the train, a quick 10-minute train ride into Aldershot, sort of hang around there. It was the only place as a kid you could actually get a McDonald's.
Yeah.
And then literally just, walking around the training area. I used to play on the old Trinasium when it was down in the woods by Rushmore Arena as a kid, before it got dismantled and taken into the depot. Went to a boarding school down in Bournemouth. As a youngster, I struggled with my dyslexia quite a bit, so I sent to a special boarding school down in Bournemouth. Came away from there. Done a few little jobs after I left school, mainly through the boys' network at the rugby club. And then when I was 18, decided that I wanted a different path. So I actually walked into the career office in Aldershot and signed up the dotted line for the Parachute Regiment.
So I've got to obviously ask the question, why did you want to join the best regiment in the world?
Being local to the area, I sort of grew up around it. A lot of the lads that were serving in the Parachute Regiment at the time were playing rugby on a senior level with my old man. Obviously, I was playing junior rugby. It was just in the bar on a Saturday afternoon after the rugby, after the games, listening to the stories, and I went, do you know what? I want to be part of that.
It's great. The Parachute Regiment you've served, and we served together in the Parachute Regiment as well. I was only having a little bit of banter there as well about being the best in the world. Yeah. Right. So every regiment out there is great. So whatever every regiment thinks it's better than everyone else. So that wasn't a serious comment there. Or only half.
Exactly. I mean, everybody knows they're good. We just know we're better.
Yeah, exactly. Made soldiers, they would obviously be Parachute Regiment. Right, I'm going to move on from that. So, what was your experience like in depot, rounding the barracks?
Depot. I first joined depot with 558 platoon. My first depot instructor obviously cottoned on quite quickly that I was a local lad, and I was portrayed as going to be his problem child. To which I answered, "Why is that, Corporal? Is it because you're local?" I didn't mind so much. Everything that I was doing in depot, when I was able to, I made phone calls to home. My mum and dad knew everything before I could tell them, because reports were going back to the rugby club, for instance.
Yeah.
had a little episode after week 6, and we'd passed off the square, where I was instructed that yes, you are allowed out of camp, but Hinkin, you are not allowed to go home. Your mission this weekend is to show the rest of the platoon all the shop, where they can get this kit, where they can get that kit, what pubs they can go into, what pubs they can't go into. Yeah. I think that tour lasted all of 30 minutes, because the rest of the platoon followed me at a double from the depot up to HM Supplies, down to the borders, past a few of the pubs. Right, you can drink in that one, you can drink in that one. Don't think about going in that one. Don't think about going in that one. Don't think about going in that one unless you want to spend the rest of the weekend in hospital. It ended at the train station, where I sort of probably went home. Well, I didn't go home, so to speak. I came back to camp later on. I just went down the rugby club so I could have a couple of beers with some old friends, see my mum and dad, and some of the lads that I worked and hung around with before I joined. It then became apparent that I was sneaking home on the weekends, so I was then duly handed kit bags with Dobie in them, and my mum tells fond stories of me turning up with 2 or 3 kit bags to do not only the platoon's washing, but my section commander's washing at the same time.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it?
I won't name any names, but he knows who he is, and my mum quite regularly laughs about it. I mean, my mum and dad are friends with him as well, so it's.
It's all a good banter. It's all part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I joined as an 18-year-old, young little sprog, so very green behind the ears, built like a McDonald's straw. There was absolutely nothing of me, and here I am now. 30 odd years later.
Exactly. What platoon did you pass out in depot?
Say again, I'm sorry.
What platoon did you pass out in depot?
So I joined with 558. I then broke my leg to the point where one foot was facing one way and one foot was facing the other way. Ended up in Faulkner's platoon on rehabilitation, rehabilitation and everything else, and then finally passed out with 560 platoon. Which was, I believe, the same platoon as you passed out with.
Exactly. I just wanted to get that one in there. But there's been a lot of platoons that have passed out since that. So I just wanted to make a point that you were down there at that point in time, mate, which was an incredible time to be in depot as well at that point.
I think apart from one lad, Jim Carnegie, every single one of us went to 3 para, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did, mate. Yeah, I think. Yeah. And a lot of the boys from 560 platoon went on to do some incredible things as well.
Yes.
Very sad that a couple of the boys from the platoon are no longer with us. They were killed on operations. But we raise a glass every year to John anyway as well. In the Paras, then he went on to obviously two special ed service as well. But every year we raise a glass for that. Right, when you went out of depot, obviously to 3 para, what was your first experience of that?
I'd heard plenty of stories. I was quite apprehensive, but I mean, overall, it wasn't as bad as some of the stories that I'd heard. Obviously marching across from the depot to battalion lines. I went to 6 platoon B company 3 para. Obviously, I moved on from there to I've done my machine guns card and all the other bits and pieces like that. Finally, got myself into a little bit of trouble. And because I had my HGV, ended up in the MT platoon as one of the drivers there. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time with 3 para, and then Obviously, when I got out, I stayed within a military role, so to speak. After a couple of years, I've done my civvy bit. I spent a little bit of time with 144 Airborne Medical down in Cardiff because I was living in Bridgend at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, while we were in Northern Ireland, my parents moved from the Aldershot area to the Cardiff area due to my dad's job, and so I had to find out where I lived when we got back from Northern Ireland.
Yeah, it's always a good experience, isn't it? I've moved. Really? Yeah, it's in England though, so you're all right. What was obviously you've done a lot of tours in the Parachute Regiment as well. What was and where was your best tour and why?
I enjoyed Northern Ireland. I must admit, I really did enjoy Northern Ireland. It was I had a good brick. I had a cracking section commander who really knew his stuff. My platoon sergeant was John Dent. Obviously, he had a fair bit of experience behind him, and the lads that I was working with. Obviously, one of my best mates. We were pretty much inseparable. Chris Morton. R.I.P. Chris. He passed away back at the beginning of the year. So he fell on hard times as well. He was picking himself up. He'd recently done put himself through his own private paramedics course and was doing private paramedics for the company. And then not so long back, I had a phone call saying that sadly he passed away. It's difficult being over here at this, in this precise moment in time with everything that's going on with COVID, because although you'd like to attend, it's not nice to attend funerals and bits and pieces, but it's something like that you'd like to attend, but my hands are tied to the fact that I can't get anywhere.
Yeah, but once the COVID situation changes, lockdown starts easing and that, I think the 1st Airborne Forces after COVID is going to be interesting. It's going to be emotional, but we've lost a lot of guys over the past year, a lot of guys. So it'd be really nice to get everyone together again in Aldershot and over in Arnhem as well. I think now we don't take for granted that we can all meet up in Aldershot or in Arnhem after everything on COVID. So I think it's going to be nice to get everyone together again and have a more friends.
I think come July, I'm hoping that that Stace can host an ABF.
Yeah. And
depending on how the vaccine jabs go over here, I'm hoping that that I'll be in a position that I can actually make it back to Aldershot for that one. But I'm quite apprehensive that come September things will be pretty much back to normal, and and we can have a good gathering in Arnhem here.
Yeah, that is going to be that's going to be something very special, I think. Right, getting on to your transition out of the armed forces from the Parachute Regiment. How did you find your transition, and where did you end up in work?
Not too bad actually. I had a few trades behind me. Obviously, before the little bits and pieces, I'd done with the jobs that I'd done prior to joining. I was a plasterer's mate, I was a builder's mate, this, that, and everything else. So I sort of self-taught a lot of things. Yeah. So I started initially as a self-employed builder, doing this and doing that, bit of electrical, bit of plumbing, a bit of building, along with my brother, who came in on that with me. And then I decided that I got ripped off with that basically, and somebody decided that they didn't want to follow instructions, so tried blaming me for what had happened. So I basically told him exactly where to go, and it transpired there. So and then got a lad, ex-1 para, went in with him on a security company. Started as the operations manager for that. I mean, by then I was living back in Aldershot. Contracts with the O2 Arena, with Chelsea Football Club. There was little bits and pieces that we were doing on the CP, the RST side of things with the Saudi royal family, their houses in sort of the London area. I was then approached with someone that said, "Would I like to work in Formula One?" And I was like, "Hey, hello! I've been a lifelong Formula One fan." So I then went on to do quite a few years in Formula One, 6 of those on the security side of things, 2 with McLaren and then 4 with Mercedes. Moved from there to Ferrari once things sort of folded in the security sector of things because of the new Middle Eastern, let's say to speak, countries that came in, the likes of Saudis, the Dubais, bits and pieces like that. They weren't that keen on the teams bringing their own security with them, so it sort of put us out of a job apart from the few European circuits that were left. So I then became a motorsport truckie. Worked on the GT series with the road divide racing cars and stuff like that. Worked with Ferrari Formula One on the hospitality side of things. So basically, the convoy that takes a Formula One team around the UK and the world and everything else, it's around about 21 trucks per team, unless you're Red Bull and you need 34 trucks. But so it's around about 21 trucks per team, and that's all the hospitality building, that's the cars, that's the part, that's the engineers and mechanics workshops, all the hoardings and everything else that makes the pit garages look all nice and spanking and sparkling. So that's, I mean, we used to turn up sort of 2 or 3 days before an event, build everything up, make sure everything's running, make sure everything's operational. As a truckie, then you're responsible for making sure that the right tyres are in the right stacks, the right car, the right this, the right weight and amount of fuel is in each dump bottle or the fuel station and stuff like that. And then as soon as the race is finished, it's a case of pack everything up, all goes back on the trucks, and then you just drive to the next circuit. So I spent a little bit of time with Ferrari doing that, and then moved to Ducati on the MotoGP. Spent a season and a half with those, and then came back to McLaren more on the GT side rather than the Formula One. I done a few little bits and pieces with the Formula One side when I came back to McLaren, but that was more the events and the shows that the cars went to on the technology side of things. And then in the December of 2019, came over here prior to or post the Arnhem weekend in September. The bar here had closed. It was a crying shame walking past it. It just looked wrong. Yeah. So on that particular weekend, I decided that I was going to give up my job and my home in the UK, and I was going to move to the Netherlands, move to Arnhem, and reopen the Pegasus.
You certainly did. You took an idea, a concept, you ran with it, and you worked hard with a lot of other people there as well. Can you tell my viewers, obviously the boys in the Parachute Regiment are going to know this anyway, but can you tell my viewers the significance of Arnhem to Airborne Forces and a little bit of the history about Operation Market Garden?
I mean, obviously, Market Garden was Montgomery's brainchild. The initial plan was to drop troops sort of 60 odd miles behind enemy lines and take out the bridges on the Rhine. Obviously through Eindhoven, Nijmegen, Arnhem, and Arnhem being the last bridge with the crossing straight into Germany. The plan on paper was slightly different to the plan in concept. Obviously, 35,000 troops, both American, British, Polish. There was even some Dutch airborne lads that jumped in with the British guys on the jumps. There's quite a few memorials to those. One of them being down by the bridge, especially. It was meant to take 2 days.
Yeah.
And to quote Urquhart, it was 2 days. They said we've been here in 9. So, Parachute was jumping in very lightly armed, minimal equipment. When they actually got here, the intel that was originally given, some of it was ignored, some of it was wrong. They were expecting old men and boys. when they landed, they found out they were fighting. They landed right in the middle of 2 Panzer divisions that were on their R&R in the middle of Arnhem. It was
tanks. They were the Parachute Regiment had,
so instead of fighting boys and old men on push bikes, they were fighting SS Panzer divisions with big guns and tanks.
Yeah, a lot of. I'll give you how special Arnhem is in the scheme of things. Anth, the Parachute Regiment Airborne Forces. I believe, was it 5 Victoria Crosses were actually?
Yeah, five Victoria Crosses. 4 were awarded to the troops actually fighting on the ground, and 1, although it was part of Market Garden, was Flight Lieutenant Lord, who constantly flew his plane on resupply drops, although half of the resupplies were going in the wrong direction, but he was actually shot down and killed during the resupply drops.
Yeah, so you can imagine 5 VCs in one operation. That is a lot. And there's an old saying: the Parachute Regiment should always be surrounded, outnumbered and surrounded, which is when the Parachute Regiment come into their own. Well, they certainly were, and the Parachute Regiment soldiers that are now joining and fight in battalions in the theatres of Afghanistan and Iraq and other countries, the memories of Arnhem and what the regiment is. Every man an emperor. Field Marshal Montgomery said those words.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's obviously when Churchill first asked for a force of at least 5,000 parachute troops. Obviously they underwent some sort of training. It was all volunteers. I mean, everybody that served over here, they'd been in prior service in the army, in the British forces, volunteered for airborne forces, went through their initial training and their jumps courses and everything else, prior to serving over here and in Normandy. And what they went through, what they had to endure when they hit the battlegrounds and the DZs in Arnhem, basically paved the way to the way that the Parachute Regiment and British Airborne Forces are trained today, especially with P Company. The DZ being as far away as it was from the bridge. That's where the 10-miler comes from. I'm spinning on my stool again, anyway. That's where the 10-miler comes from. The stretcher race with getting the injured troops out of the way. The log race with the resupplies with the ammunition. It's little things that were a lot of this battle was close quarters with Germans. You standing there staring them in the face. Milling. It's your controlled aggression. Right in the direct face of the military. So a lot of the lads that that joined in our era, the era before us, and the lads that are going through training now, it's the boys of Arnhem sort of basically paved the way for what the regiment is now.
Yeah, and it is an outstanding regiment, and every man in it as well. Always has been, always will be. The bar that you've got now, can you tell us a little bit about, not just because the bar's just a small part of it, but everything that is in it, in the bar as well?
Yeah, I mean the bar was originally the brainchild of a Scottish girl called Nicola. So basically 10 years ago, she decided that she was going to leave the bar that she was working and she was going to start this up. There was myself and a couple of other of the lads. We used to make regular trips over to here. Assisted her with some of the memorabilia that she first initially put on the wall. So the bar's been up and running for the last 10 years and has been a beacon, so to speak, for the airborne forces to come to. There's a lot of memorabilia on the wall. It's obviously when I came over here in January and started the refurbishment in February of 2020. So I've completely gutted it, ripped it out, completely redecorated, built a new bar, built a new back bar, and I've kept the decor and the memorabilia to Arnhem and Operation Market Garden owners. There's plenty of places. The lads that go to the corporals' messes, the sergeants' messes. I'm not so sure that the corporals' messes are about anymore. But definitely the sergeants' messes. You've got stuff from all eras of the Parachute Regiment over those walls. You go to the Traff, it's basically a living history of the regiment and airborne forces.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep, because I'm in Arnhem, I wanted to keep the Pegasus in Arnhem. Obviously the Pegasus being the emblem of the British Airborne Forces, and hence the name, and chosen purely because of Bellerophon Stride Pegasus, which was the earliest recording of an airborne warrior, and hence the Pegasus being, with Bellerophon Stride being chosen for the emblem of the airborne forces. So I basically wanted to keep everything Arnhem based, Arnhem and Operation Market Garden based, right from the inception of Market Garden right through to the liberation of the Netherlands itself.
You've certainly done that. I'm privy to some of the things that are on your wall as well and what you've got in the Pegasus. Can you pick out one particular thing that really stands out for you personally on the walls?
One that really stands to me personally, it's up on the shelves behind the bar, and it's a 1944 field phone. It was donated by a Dutch lad. Obviously, the Dutch hold the British in and the Allied airborne forces in such a high esteem. It's although the operation itself was a failure, the Dutch don't see it as a failure. The Dutch see it as you tried. We are eternally grateful. And then, yes, in 1945, Arnhem and the Netherlands were finally liberated by the Allied forces, but they hold 1944, that September 1944. They've got so much respect for the lads that came over here, because as far as they're concerned, they didn't come over here and lose. They came over here and tried.
Yeah.
And that's how they hold them. But this field phone that sits up on top of the bar was donated by a Dutch lad, and it was actually found in the ruins of the building that John Frost had his HQ in, next to the ramp of the bridge. On top of it, it's actually stated that that phone belonged to RHQ.
HQ. That is.
That's a very special piece within the bar.
Yeah, you've got a lot of other very special pieces there as well. I would like, me personally, and I've spoken to a lot of the boys from Airborne Forces, and they would like to thank you for keeping the bar going. But it's just not just the bar; it's the history, it's the memorabilia you've got. You've spent a lot of time and very carefully putting everything together as well. So I'd just like to say thank you from the rest of the boys for that as well. There's a lot of guys who want to say that to you in person as soon as you open up anyway. What's your plans then? Because of COVID, what has happened with COVID and yourself?
COVID. COVID's been a difficult one. Obviously, the time that I opened the bar, I got the refurbishment done. Yes, we managed to open under restrictions, with only being able to have 25 people in the bar. It all had to be table service. And then come October, they decided that with a second wave coming, they were going to completely close all the hospitality establishments. So all the cafes, bars, the restaurants. Even hotels were closed for a while. So hotels were relaxed slightly. Hotels could keep their bars open, but it was only for guests. It's not like I could go and book myself into a hotel instead of living at home and just so I could have a beer. You had to have a legitimate reason to be traveling and be staying in the hotel. That came in October. We've been closed since. There is talk that towards the end of this month that we might be able to open our terraces, so that we can serve table service out on the terraces, but not have people within the establishments. But during COVID, it's been a struggle, because we didn't qualify for any of the government assistance. Yeah. There was a package that covered wages that we didn't qualify for. There was a package that covered the standing costs that we didn't qualify for. There was a package that entrepreneurs could claim, but again, because of the time that I moved over here and the time that I became an entrepreneur, I didn't qualify for that, and so basically fell between the gaps with everything.
Yeah, I just want my viewers to know that you've had no assistance from the government in funding on anything. No. You're still sat in your bar and you've been fighting tooth and nail. A lot of people won't realise that. You've given everything you've got into that bar. Now, my brothers and sisters, Airborne Forces, all over the world, now you've been made aware of that, okay? I want to say this, Nigel nearly lost everything because he put everything into this to keep the memory of Market Garden alive and the Pegasus alive for all of us to go over there and enjoy it. If anyone wants to give a little donation to help in any way, we're not asking, we're not telling anyone to do it, we're just asking, right? The PayPal information for the Pegasus and Nigel will be in text underneath this interview. You can put a pint in, put a fiver in, put a tenner in, it doesn't matter. It's the principle of it. We all go over there, we all enjoy it, we all like having a beer over there in the Pegasus as well. Nigel is one of us, so let's get our hands in our pockets and help him. Okay, so I'm going to say on that one. Information will be at the bottom of the interview at the end. Right, Nigel, moving forward, you've nearly finished, haven't you, all the decoration and that inside the bar area?
Yeah, I mean, I've got. I mean, there's a few little bits and pieces that are still due to come over. I mean, not only have I had to deal with COVID over here, I've had to deal with Brexit as well.
Yeah, everything at once on top of you.
I've had to get because the UK is no longer part of the EU. I've had to get a separate residence permit. Come May, my UK driving licence is no longer valid. Because I'm a resident here, my UK driving licence is no longer valid. So I have to change my, I mean, I can keep my British passport, but in order to drive vehicles over here, I have to have a Dutch driving licence. Yeah. So there's all little bits and pieces that it's going on. I mean, keeping the bar, I mean, although we've got no beer sales coming in at the moment, there is lads in the UK that are making clothing merchandise for me. Yeah. There's a few lads within the airborne fraternity, you know, Paratute lads, the Remy lads, you know, they've all sort of clubbed together. There's been a few raffles that have been held in the UK that were run by Simo. Clive is making my merchandise. We were gifted 115 scarves that were made in Arnhem. We were gifted 115 scarves to sell to raise funds. Yeah. It's basically just being able to manage keeping the running costs going. Yeah. So the insurance isn't valid unless the alarm is up and running. The alarm and the CCTV don't work unless the internet's running. So it's one of those things where you've got to keep this going, but in order to keep that going, you've got to have that going. I mean, so it's just keeping those running bills. There's things in place over here. So, for instance, the electric company, they've reduced, because the bar's closed. Obviously, it's a Horeca establishment, so they've reduced the energy bill by 33%. The equivalent of the inland revenue here, which takes all your VAT, your taxes, and everything else, because and it's not just me, it's establishments throughout the Horeca. You don't have to pay the taxes at the moment, but obviously you will have to pay the taxes at a later date. Yeah. But not right now. You're not going to get fined, and you're not going to get taken for bankruptcy by the tax man because you haven't paid any tax at the moment. So there's little things like that are running in my favour. Yeah. There's a group of lads that are working closely with the Gemeente, which is the local council here, and they're trying to get me local government funding, purely based on the heritage side of what the bar stands for. Yeah. Which is at the moment looking quite promising. There's no guarantee on it at the moment, and as of 1st of March, there was a new scheme for entrepreneurs or new starters called Tonk, which I've applied for. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. I'm managing to just about keep my head above water, but it's all based on you know, the merchandise sales, little bits and pieces. Robbie, one of my mates over here, he works in one of the factories here. In fact, he actually works in the Heinz factory. So where your tomato ketchup and your Heinz salad cream and everything else is actually made in Arnhem. So,
A lot of people didn't know that.
no, I initially didn't know that either. So Heinz have kindly donated some gift baskets. Obviously, it's going to be difficult posting them to the UK, but that'll be more. I mean, there's a very big expat community within Arnhem, and a lot of the products that you can buy in the UK you can't actually buy in the Netherlands. So your salad creams and your sandwich spreads and stuff like that, you can't get them here unless you go to a specialised shop. You know, you go to Hartley's, the English shop. For instance, I went there the other day, and what would cost me £1.39 in Tesco's for Jacob's cream crackers was €4 here because of the cost of her having to import them. I was like, you're having a laugh.
Yeah, it's a bit expensive out there. But you've got to this point, you've had a lot of help and support. Now you're at the end of all of this with the COVID. All I'm saying is, ladies and gentlemen, he's done this himself, okay? He's managed to keep it alive, and it nearly was not as well. It was close to going under, but now it's not. Get your hands in your pockets and let's help a fellow veteran. That is what it's about. That's what this show's about, helping veterans and supporting veteran-owned companies, okay? So all of us enjoy a beer for the price of a beer, all right? Put it into his business. He's keeping the heritage of Operation Market Garden. Let's think about that one, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Nigel, obviously, you know, with the COVID, you've been through a hard time. Well, there's a lot of veterans who are really battling at the moment as well. Would you like to give them a message?
There's, I mean, not just veterans. I mean, there's a lot of people in general that are struggling with the COVID. You know, they can't go to work, they can't do this, they can't go here. It's the sociable side that's been taken away from you. You know, with the restrictions with COVID. I mean, it's like, for instance, I mean, my mum's disabled, and within Wales, you're not. You can exercise from your house to your house. I mean, you're not allowed to drive to go and exercise. But my mum physically can't get out of the house to exercise. I mean, they live at the top of the hill. You know, she could probably, you know, she struggles to walk down their drive. You know, so the simple fact that, yeah, you can go and exercise, but she can't go and exercise because my dad's not allowed to drive her to go and exercise. It's you know, there's that mental health side of it. Yeah. I mean, my mum keeps herself busy with little projects that she invents. It's but no, it's mental health. Mental health's a big one. We've lost quite a few lads this year. Yeah. You know, through mental health. You know, there's the alert posts that go out, you know, within the community on Facebook. You know, the alerts of people missing, and but talk to somebody. There's always someone on the other end of the line. There's always someone, you know, that's willing to help. There was, you know, I won't mention any names, but you know, there was a story last night, and it's one of the people that I would not have categorized as having dealt with that. Yeah. But you know, it's not a sign of weakness. You know, asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's you know, it's a sign of the person that you are. You know, it takes a bigger man to actually own up and say, look, I'm in the shit, and he does just turn around and say, no, I'm fine. Yeah, you know, and then
very important message. There's a lot of people out there at the moment, veterans and non-veterans, people from all the services who are going through a hard time at the moment. you're not going through it alone. Pick up Dog and Bone, pick up the phone, have a chat with somebody. There's a lot of good
Exactly.
organizations out there. All right, it's very important. And don't stay cooped up if you can in your house. I know there's restrictions, but you get your boots on, get your trainers on, get your jacket on, go for a walk, go in the countryside or in your local park. You'll feel a lot better for yourself as well. A little bit of exercise, it'll help with your mental health. But for all the guys out there and girls that we know, all right, pick up the phone, reach out to somebody. We've all been through hard times. I've been through hard times. Nigel's been through hard times. I think pretty much everyone has. So you're not alone. So just reach out, talk to somebody. A problem shared is a problem half. My phone's always on. I get phone calls at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Not a problem. I always answer. Okay? Anyone wants to have a chat about anything in confidence, not a problem. Nigel, would you like to say anything else?
No, it's just, thank you for having me on. Thank you for, highlighting and talking about the bar and experiences.
Yeah, no, thank you for keeping it up and running through everything, because I know how hard a time this has been for you as well, and you've kept it going for everyone out there. So it's been an absolute pleasure and an honour to have you on the Patriot Show. If you can stay on the line for 2 minutes, I'm just going to close down the actual interview now. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this special feature on the Patriot Show. Outstanding interview there from a fellow airborne brother as well. Can you please stay tuned for another minute or so to watch some adverts and trailers for veteran-owned businesses and companies across the United Kingdom and America. You'll find some of them very interesting, all veteran-owned. 2 of them by members of the Parachute Regiment as well. Stay tuned. Right, and until the next show, everybody stay safe. Speak to you next time. Thank you very much for watching the Patriot Show. Goodbye.